We all like to think we're rational people, right? But what if our brains have a mind of their own, especially when the pressure's on? Today, we are diving deep into the hidden architecture of our choices, trying to find that clear signal in the noise of our own minds.
So, let's kick things off with a real head-scratcher. Why do incredibly smart people sometimes make just awful decisions? You see it all the time. A brilliant CEO makes a disastrous bet, or a top doctor misses something obvious. The problem isn't intelligence. It's actually a conflict in how our brains are wired to work.
You see, the key here is what researchers call the two systems approach. The easiest way to think about it is this. Your brain has an autopilot. That's system one. It's fast, it's instinctive, it's totally reactive. But then you've also got the pilot, system two. And that's the one that's deliberate, analytical, and kind of slow. These two are always working, and a lot of the time they're fighting for control. So, if we want to make better choices, we have to get a handle on these two speeds of thought. You've got the reactive, fast one, and the reflective, slow one. Just knowing which system is in the driver's seat, well, that's the first step to taking back the controls.
Okay, take a look at this model. It shows you how it all connects. See those inputs on the left? That's everything from your own beliefs and how much energy you have to all the external distractions and risks coming at you. All of that data gets funneled into one of two paths. And this is so important because something as simple as being tired or hungry can shove a really critical decision onto that fast path, system one, where it's way more likely to go wrong.
Now, system one is our mental workhorse. It's what lets a seasoned driver get home on a familiar route without even consciously thinking about every single turn. It is incredibly efficient and it saves our mental energy for bigger problems. But, and this is a big but, that speed comes at a cost. To be that fast, System 1 relies on mental shortcuts, and while they usually work out just fine, sometimes those shortcuts lead us right off a cliff.
And that brings us right to what we can call hidden shortcut traps. These are the predictable glitches that pop up when we lean too heavily on those fast, automatic processes. You can think of them as bugs in our mental software. And trust me, they can have some serious consequences.
The fancy term for these shortcuts is cognitive heuristics. Basically, our brain's rules of thumb. Like when you judge a person based on your first impression. We use them all day, every day, because we'd be completely exhausted if every single decision required a full-blown analysis. But while they're essential, they can also introduce some really powerful and invisible biases into our thinking.
So the real trick is learning to spot these traps in the wild. Let's look at 3 of the most common ones. First up, the affect heuristic. That's your gut feeling. Say you meet a candidate for a job who's just super charming, and your gut screams, hire them. That powerful first impression can totally blind you to major red flags on their resume. Then there's availability. If you spend a week watching news coverage about plane crashes, you're going to start to overestimate the danger of flying, even though it's statistically one of the safest ways to travel. Those vivid memories just feel more probable. And finally, anchoring. The very first price you see for a car, even if it's ridiculously high, anchors your whole negotiation. Suddenly, every price below that anchor starts to look like a pretty good deal.
Now, it's not just these mental shortcuts we have to worry about. There's another huge factor that messes with our judgment: simple exhaustion. Our ability to make careful, reasoned decisions isn't infinite. It's a resource that can, and absolutely does, run out.
And this is known as decision fatigue. The more choices you make, the harder each new decision becomes. Your brain, trying to conserve energy, starts looking for the easy way out. It's why you might impulsively buy something you don't need online after a long day at work. But it's not just about shopping. Get this. Studies show that judges are way more likely to grant parole right after a lunch break than right before one. Their mental energy is shot, making no the easier default choice.
And this quote just perfectly illustrates the concept in action. President Obama famously wore only gray or blue suits to slash the number of trivial decisions he had to make each day. He totally understood that every little choice drains your mental battery, and he was strategically fighting decision fatigue to save his cognitive energy for the choices that actually mattered.
All right, so we've laid out the problems, these sneaky mental shortcuts and draining decision fatigue. Now for the good part. How do we fight back? We're going to shift gears and look at some solutions, a toolkit of mental models to help us upgrade our process and start making much clearer choices.
First off, we have to understand this really dangerous subconscious process called dominant structuring. Here's the trap. We think we're objectively making a choice, but a lot of the time, we're just defending a choice we've already made emotionally. As you can see here, we quickly narrow our options, we pick one that just feels promising, and then our brain flips a switch. Instead of impartially comparing the alternatives, we start hunting for reasons to confirm our favorite and explain away all of its flaws.
On the left, you've got that automatic, flawed process of locking in on a choice too early. And on the right, those are the disciplined strategies we can use to break free. Now, the solution here takes real, conscious effort. It means you have to be crystal clear about your criteria before you even start. It means looking at all the options impartially and being brutally honest with yourself when your favorite choice has a weakness. It's the hard work of self-regulation to keep yourself open-minded.
So, how do experts like firefighters or ER doctors make brilliant decisions in just a matter of seconds? Well, they use a process called recognition primed decision, or RPD. This isn't about sitting down and making a list of pros and cons. This is high-speed pattern recognition. Through years and years of training and experience, they've built this massive mental library of situations. So when a crisis hits, they rapidly match what's happening right now to a pattern they've seen before. And that lets them immediately execute the action that's most likely to work. It feels like intuition, but it's an intuition that's been earned.
So, how can we bring all of this together into a real actionable upgrade for our own decision-making? Well, it all starts with building an awareness of our brain's default settings and then consciously choosing a better process.
Here are 5 rules you can start using today. Number 1, just stop and think. That simple pause can be all it takes to switch from your impulsive autopilot to your thoughtful pilot. 2, know your traps. If you know a salesperson is using an anchor price on you, you're way less likely to fall for it. 3, decide when rested. Seriously, never make a life-altering choice at the end of an exhausting day. 4, challenge your choice. Before you commit, actively ask yourself, what evidence would prove me wrong? This is your single best defense against locking in too early. And finally, number 5, build your experience. The more patterns you learn, whether it's through practice or just running simulations, the sharper your expert intuition is going to become.
And we'll leave you with this question to think about. Understanding these mental processes isn't just some academic exercise. It's about taking control of your own thinking. So what's one important decision in your life, right now, that you can see in a completely new light? The power to choose better isn't about being smarter. It's about being more aware.